There's a lot of comic books out there that are being made into movies and television shows, but that doesn't mean that every single comic book in the world that should be a television show has been a television show. And that's what this video is for. Hi, I'm Jason Inman, and I like to read comic books, and I like to talk about comic books on this channel, on my podcast, and all the kind of stuff like that. And I gotta tell you, if you like comic books, we're gonna get to my list of comic books that should be television shows. But first, we're gonna tell you about a comic book that has become a television show. This video is sponsored by Amazon and The Boys because they reached out to me to promote The Boys television series that's going to be on Amazon Prime Video. 8 episodes, and you can binge them all at once. It stars Carl Urban, stars a whole bunch of cool people. And it's a great comic book that was turned into a television show. It is about this world of superheroes that is super corrupt. They're gallivanting around the globe. They think they can control everything. And it's about this team called The Boys who are trying to knock them down a few pegs. It is, seriously, no joke, one of the best comic books that Garth Ennis has ever written. And it is a comic book that I've been saying for years that should totally be a television show. And now it is a television show, so that's why I think you should go check it out over on Amazon Prime. 8 episodes, Carl Urban, go check it out. I think you're gonna really enjoy it. I think you're really gonna enjoy it. And on that note, let's talk about some other comic books like The Boys that should be television shows. The next series, comic book series that should be a television show, is Ex Machina. This is a Brian K. Vaughan series, and it details the life of Mitchell Hundred, who is also known as a superhero called the Great Machine, who is basically this world's only superhero. Now, in the wake of 9/11, he is elected mayor of New York City. Now, why is he elected mayor? Well, basically because in that world, he stopped one of the planes from hitting the Twin Towers, and he saved the world, sort of. So he becomes mayor, and it's about his first term in office. Now, this is, imagine the superhero world mixed with the West Wing. Remember the West Wing? Jed Bartlett, the greatest president of all time of the universe. Imagine that type of storytelling mixed with a superhero. Now, it's interesting because the crux of Ex Machina is, will he go back to being a superhero, or will he become too corrupt to become a politician? Will he go full on and become a politician? And that is the crux of the entire series. He fights several times with his father figure, Ivan Kremlin. He's a mechanic. He's the guy who built his Great Machine jetpack, and his power is that he can basically talk or control machines. So this series also has an extensive timeline. It has great flashbacks because you can show flashback to his superhero career, and you can juxtapose that with his current political aspirations. And it's amazing because, again, it's this fight of superhero and politics, actually very similar to The Boys. The next comic book series that I think should be a TV show is Fables. Fables is one of my favorite comic book series of all time. It's created by Bill Willingham. It's published through DC Comics and Vertigo. This is the story that that show Once Upon a Time stole from. I'm not lying. This series is basically about various characters from fairy tales and folklore. They call themselves Fables. That's their species, sort of. And they live inside an apartment building that is inside New York, and it's called Fabletown. Now, they have been kicked out from their homelands because they've been conquered by a mysterious and deadly enemy known as the Adversary. And it's a big mystery of the show of who is the Adversary. And there's little interesting clues as you go through, because the Adversary is not revealed until around issue 40 or 50, and you have to figure out who is the Adversary. And if you know fairy tales and you pick up on the clues, you can figure that out. Now, the greatest thing is one of the greatest comic book characters of all time is in this series, and that is Bigby, aka the Big Bad Wolf. Yes, that's right. The Big Bad Wolf is a human now, at least in human form, but he can transform into a giant wolf, and he's the sheriff of Fabletown. And the series starts when Rose Red, the sister of Snow White, is murdered, and the Big Bad Wolf has to solve it. And let's just say that it might lead into a little bit of a romance with Miss Snow White, who is an administrator in this building. So every fairy tale creature that you could ever imagine is in this series. And their characterizations, their motivations, their moments are so astounding to read. No lie, this would make such an amazing television show. This show could run for almost 10 seasons. There is so much story. Let me give you a little hint. The second story arc is about when a revolt happens on the farm, which is this other Fables community, and it's all the non-human Fables. They live on the farm, and they want to live in the human cities. That's a great second season, guys. That's why Fables needs to be a television show. My last choice for a comic book series that needs to be a television show is one that's actually been made into a television show, but it wasn't successful. I'm talking about The Sixth Gun, published by Oni Press. I don't know why I did that. Created by Colin Bunn and Brian Hurt. Now, they made a pilot of The Sixth Gun. It was produced by Carlton Cuse, but the pilot never sold. Haven't seen it, don't know whether it's any good, but that does not change my opinion on whether this should be a television show. So if you don't know about The Sixth Gun, you should read it. The Sixth Gun takes place in the Old West, shortly after the Civil War, and the story centers around a set of 6 pistols that all have dark powers. Like one of them can spread diseases, one of them can control the dead, and one of them like launches hellfire. Now, the titular Sixth Gun belongs to this girl, Becky Moncrief. And the other protagonist is a man named Drake Sinclair, who used to run with the bad guys who were trying to collect all the guns. Now, this show is sort of a supernatural Western. Imagine Constantine mixed with the Old West with lots of demons and lots of scary things, and that's exactly what The Sixth Gun is. This series is so naturally made to be a television show that it hurts, that I am screaming out to see this as a television show, and I hope I see it in my lifetime. So those are 4 comic book series that I think could easily make compelling and great television shows. Go check them out, go read their series, go flip through the funny book pages of their stories. You will not regret it. Something else that you're definitely not going to regret, and I'm really looking for this show, is The Boys.
Check it out on Amazon Prime Video right this very second.
Stars Carl Urban, and it's about a bunch of boys taking some shots at the big-time superheroes. And if that is not a compelling plotline to you right now, and you also enjoy superhero comic books, then I don't know what else I could sell you, man. I mean, dudes in coats taking on a giant superpowered Superman type figure. How do you not want to watch that show? Stars Carl Urban. Did I mention Carl Urban? Carl Urban's in the show. Definitely check that out on Amazon Prime. Premieres July 26th. Thanks for watching. I'm Jason Inman. Let me know down in the comments what comic book series you think would make an excellent television show. And while you're down there, click subscribe. Thanks for watching.